It's time we give back. Sow a seed and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back.
And here is part 2 with our guest host, Don Mays. Enjoy.
Because, as Rachel mentioned, you are a father, but you're a father of a daughter. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a lot of the influences, other than your mother, you mentioned, were men. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in this book is going to be able to influence or grab women so that they can see themselves in these same lights as community activists, community servants. And I mean, you have a daughter who's already doing that. So I know that you have it in you to bring that out in women. But is there a message you want to say here about how women can engage in the same ways?
Well, I just think back to a situation when I was at PS 118. I was a dean there, and I was running a boys program. We had an AAU team that was nationally ranked. We were producing other AAU teams that were nationally ranked. We had nationally ranked players. And I remember at the end of a school day, and I'm as a part of my responsibilities, I'm in the schoolyard helping with dismissal. And there was a woman heckling me from like, "What about my daughter? What about my daughter?" Right? Because I'm doing all these things with these boys, and I'm like trying to guilt me, I'm like, okay, but my mission and my calling is to focus on these young men. Mm-hmm. And I understand that, and I take that very serious. But I do believe that the information fundamentally, practically is applicable. Male, female. I think you can take the same information and apply it to a girls program, to a female program, to a unisex or female male program. It's a spirit of giving back. It's a spirit of taking responsibility for your community, and I think that it's not limited to. But I'm always clear that my focus is uplifting our black boys and black boys of color. That's my call. Okay. And I'm not trying to make excuses for not being able to be that for everybody. Okay. But I take my commitment to that cause very serious.
Appreciate the transparency. Like the honorable judge said before, you actually have influenced women, and you have had those kinds of that impact on not just boys. And from what I've seen of the book, you are absolutely right. All the information is transferable, and anyone who's looking to engage in the community, anyone who's looking to give back to the community, anyone who hasn't been in the community and can't give back but can give, right here, y'all. Here it is. Get your hands on this book, Hosea James Givan II. Let's give him a round of applause. Any questions from the audience? Folks, people, talk to us. So once in a lifetime, okay, once in a day opportunity. Y'all got any questions? Ask him about the pancake.
Nah, that's it.
Yes, miss, with the hat, with the straw hat.
I'm just wondering, have you had thoughts about another book? And if so, is it in line with the same topic, or is it another topic you're thinking about?
So the spirit of this book is really about my father's influence on me. I mentioned that my mother had found influence on me as well. So the next book that I hope to have out, sometime fall, late, winter, is dedicated to my mom and her influence on me. And it's a whole different flow. It allows me to talk about, how I feel about our people. My mother is very artistic and creative, so there'll be some poetry and some, it'll be a different flow but it is consistent with, I think we have to come up with, like I just mentioned, any way we can motivate and inspire. We have to pull out all stops right now, because I think we're at a time in history where we have to really inspire people to step up and lead, and don't underestimate your own individual ability to make a difference.
Any other questions? Anybody? Yes.
Based on your experiences, what are some of the greatest challenges that most people encounter when they're trying to start an inner city lead or any type of lead, whether it's in the suburbs or in the city? Where's the point where most people end up giving up or getting frustrated or overwhelmed?
I think the greatest challenge that you have is just getting people to believe in the vision, right? And getting people to understand that because like I said, we're very reactionary, right? We'll react to a tragedy, but we won't necessarily put the time and energy into developing something to help to prevent something from happening. And when you have these types of programs, you're trying to convince people that, kind of to what Don suggested, that you have something to offer, you have something to give, and a lot of people don't feel that. If they're not successful, if they don't have the crib, if they don't have a successful job, if they don't have a job at all, like I said, I was non-judgmental. When people said that they wanted to help these young people, I put that as the top priority. And everything, GED or not, college degree or not, job or not, it was your heart, if you were sincere in your commitment. It does take some level of assertiveness, because it's hard right now. People are very, very, we've been bombarded with, we've gone through some really hard times on so many different levels, and people are just tired on some levels. But I think the other part of it is we've been kind of enclosed. So I'm hoping that people have seen a lot over the last year and a half and recognize that there's such a need to get involved. And Don had talked about the heightened level of commitment and the Black Lives Matter movement and that energy, but we want to transfer that into something that's more sustainable within a community setting. And so the challenge is just really getting people to believe that we have to get involved now and create that sense of urgency. We're just not accustomed to being that way. I think we're very reactionary, and we'll deal with the next tragedy and it'll be horrible, but we got to prevent those tragedies, and that's kind of what this is about.
When I was in high school, I was physically at school, but my mind wasn't at school. I had problems at home, and that's hard when you feel like you're doing it alone. That's when I met an artist, my mom, as I'll call her. She started helping me a little bit, like, Nia, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but your future is more important. She's my strength. Just being a support for those hard days and those hard nights, not giving up on me. Thank you to my mama. I wouldn't have did this if it wasn't for her. Today is for my mama and everybody who had my back. It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. Some people would think, well, maybe it's really not that big of a deal, but it really is. It changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Let me do a quick follow-up on that, because it's not something that we've discussed at this point, but a lot of people will see it as a barrier or a challenge, and that's money. Mm-hmm. How much of a challenge, or how did that impact your ability to be able to do what you've done, and how would you talk to someone who might be discouraged because they can't find funding?
So we do address that in the book in terms of it's about also getting the community to recognize that they're all stakeholders. So the business community, like the bodega and the supermarket and the hair salon.
Yep.
And the insurance agency and the church and everybody in this community, they're all stakeholders and they all have a responsibility. But we don't have a thing that would cause them to be supportive of a thing, right? So the resources are in the community. It's making sure that you have someone, hopefully with integrity, that's out there trying to galvanize support for these types of programs. But
you said the resources are in the community, and I think what you've been telling us all along is the community is the resource.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. We had a question here.
I think that probably the biggest distinction in my mind between when your dad was starting a league and today is the proliferation of social media, right? And like when your dad was starting a league, we came out to play. Kids came out to play. They needed something to do. Now kids aren't really coming out as much. They're staying in and they're on these devices, right? How does that impact what you're trying to do? Does it help? Does it hinder? Or is it neutral?
Great point. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah, so that's something I deal with almost on a daily basis in my own home, right? I mean, really.
That's you out, girl.
That's a reality of today's world, And when Zach, Wanda, and I we would ride our bikes and we'll be out and about. We'll be on the block and meeting our friends and talking to our neighbors, and we're excited when somebody new came on the block, and it's a different world today, and. But that's a medium where we have to have creativity, right? So we have to figure out how we can use those platforms to reach that population, and it also often takes someone within that. So we're grooming Rebecca to influence her age group, right? Because that's where she is and that's where they are. I think that's the first step toward trying to, but recognizing that is where they are, and it's going to take. It's not an easy thing, because a lot of that is designed. It's almost addictive, in terms of just how it's produced and how it's created. So that's a challenge. That's absolutely a challenge. But we're social beings, right? Humans are social beings. And so we have to create opportunities, and we have to make our young people aware that they, I'm not just saying it. This is stuff that I talk about with my daughter. You got to get out. You got to meet your neighbors. You got to know you should know every kid on the block. You should know every kid in the neighborhood, like we did. We knew all the kids in the neighborhood. But it starts with parenting. Right, and that's one we didn't talk about that directly, but
got a little competition in the background.
we didn't talk about the Oh, he's down with y'all crew.
Right.
He's our landscaper back. I had a question.
We got a question in the back.
Oh, in the back. Okay.
But before that, I just want to kind of toss in. We all talk about it was different when we were growing up. But it is different, but it's their reality that we are experiencing, that we're experiencing. So, the way we socialize was face-to-face, person-to-person.
Correct.
But, they're socializing online, and we have to be aware of that, and we have to be open to that. If we close ourselves off to that, we're closing ourselves off to an opportunity to reach them. So, you're absolutely right. We need to be creative. We need to expand the who, what, where, and how we function in order to reach young people. We had a question back here with the brother.
Actually, it's more of a statement than a question.
Okay.
I'm really glad to be here. I want to thank you for writing the book.
Thank you, fam.
I actually epitomize somebody who's able to benefit from your family's commitment to serving leadership.
Amen.
College biddies,
Amen.
all the way to the New York City Council. So that works.
Major brother.
I just got to understand what a language that you put to the servant leadership, right? In graduate school, I studied servant leadership. And then I started to think back over the past of all of the people who actually were servant leaders in the community. Your dad, you, your brother. Mike is my contemporary, obviously.
Right.
And just for everybody, I'm a final mega man, just for the record.
And a city councilman.
And the city councilman. But the point is that I read Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outliers. There are no outliers. There are people who sow into people along the way to make them have a pathway to success. I'm epitome of that. When I read the book, I thought of all of the people who actually took time with me, right? Not only am I a city councilman, I got to play for St. John's University. I played overseas for 15 years. So the intersectionality between actually sports and entertainment, politics, and community service, I probably epitomize that, but not on my own. I just wanted to. I'm glad that my frat brother, Niall Stewart, made sure that I was here, because people who are committed to this kind of work need the accolades, not just of a press conference or of a talk, but people who actually are a product of what that was, and I'm a product. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, and I think it also speaks volumes about, you, who you are, and how you navigate this world by your close relationships between, your all the different fraternities and sororities who are supporting you, I2MQ. And when we were in undergrad, Alphas, Kappas, Omegas, we all were down together, and that has persisted throughout your life.
AKs and Deltas too.
Absolutely. And Zetas.
Cygnus.
The Divine Nine, all of us. But what I'm saying is, you have been able to bring those groups. The way that you function has been able to bring those folks together in full support of you, and it's made for further extension into the communities for the things you're doing.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
What if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
I have another question with the young woman in the straw hat.
So, Jose, I think about COVID.
Mira.
Hosea. I think about COVID, right? And I know you retired and you weren't close to the kids that you were close to in the school on a daily basis. What has shifted for you in terms of how you're reimagining? And maybe it's similar to the question, T had for you. How do you reimagine in this post-COVID world community service? Do you think it's going to be different going forward? And what impact did COVID have in the fact that, we were indoors in New York when everything was going down? I often saw you very sad, the fact that you had kids you couldn't see, right? And that were enclosed in homes. Who knows what was going on, right, with their experiences in the school environment. Is that was their outlet, right? And coming and participating in some of the activities that you have. So long-winded question in terms of where, what were your thoughts around that and when that was happening? And are you reimagining how community service, the engagement will take place going forward?
Did everyone hear the question?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It was it wasn't easy. I don't know if the COVID experience. I think for me it's just don't know. I think the world has changed in the last 16 months, and part of my struggle, and continues to be my struggle, is how do I fit into this new world? You know, I had a plan pre-COVID, and I'm honestly trying to figure it out. Because I think over the last year and a half, everything I thought about the world, and not just as it relates to COVID, but the politics of this world, it's changed. And it's made me, I've been in a holding pattern. You know, I'm trying to really better understand how I was thinking prior to COVID, that this was the way to go. And one thing about COVID, that if not for COVID, this book wouldn't have been finished, right? Because I'd have been engaged in doing the things that I've always done. But post-COVID and everything that we've been exposed to, not just as a result of COVID, but all of the politics and all of the racial tension, it just made me realize that things are not as advanced as I once thought, you know, and a lot of the things that I felt would be the things that I just took for granted, you know, just the things that I assumed would be in place, particularly coming after Obama. I was in for a rude awakening, as so much of the world was. And so the things that I thought I would have, I didn't think I would be tackling some of the things that I would have to tackle to the degree, you know, and those obstacles that exist. I just didn't think they were there to the degree that they are. So I'm still trying to figure it out, Rachel. I'm not even going to front. You know, I think that this world that we're in right now is very, very different on so many levels. And I just want to make sure that as I enter this next phase of my life, I'm putting my time and energy in the best place, because there's so many things that are just not right now. You know, I was involved in politics, but I got out of that a long time ago. But I see now that it's real important again, you know, that we really got to make sure that we understand that we have the right people representing us at every level in state, local, and federal government. We can't take that for granted. I mean, there are things that we have taken for granted. That's
why we're in this position we're in today.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's hard for me. It's been hard for me to just narrow down what is the priority. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what I'm wrestling with most. Mm-hmm. You know, so I don't see myself again in the community center running the community program. I have to begin to understand that I have to train people to do that, because I have to get out there and get more people to do what I'm doing. What Councilman just mentioned, we have to reproduce ourselves. We have to replicate, and we have to do it with a sense of urgency, like they're recruiting for the Marines and for the Army and for the Navy. It's got to be that same kind of focus and same kind of energy, because our community is so needy right now, and we're at a crossroads. They're trying to take us out. It's not even a joke. Yeah. It's really real, and it's like nothing we have ever seen before. Not in our lifetime. Actually,
it's like everything we've always seen.
Well, you know, we've seen it again, but we didn't expect to see it again. You're right.
We didn't expect to see it in the way as blunt and out there as it is, but it's the same thing. You know, voter oppression, segregation, housing, all those things. I've gotten the signal from the producer, the executive producer, that it's time to wrap. So we will be around. Hosea will be around. He's here to sign books, so anyone who wants to purchase a book. Did we mention that there's a book that you can buy?
Hosea.
Thank you. So you can purchase a book. Hosea will be here to sign the books and have conversations with you as we wrap up. And I want to thank you personally. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. We really appreciate you coming out on this beautiful, beautiful day. You know, we know you could be elsewhere, but it's really important that we are here, that your bodies are here, that we are having these conversations, having this communion, so that we can begin to build on what's here and build on the things that we have. And Hosea, we'll give the last word and thank you to you.
Yeah, I just want to thank the host and hostess, Zach and Wanda, my long-time friends. Wanda is one of my oldest friends. I mean,
She still likes me. Yeah, I believe.
And I want to thank all of you for joining us and the support and the love and the positive energy. Keep us in prayer. My family, we will pray for you. We are in a time right now, like I said, unprecedented times well, it's not unprecedented, right? We've seen post-Reconstruction before,
yes,
right? So,
yeah.
But this is going to be hard. The next phase is really going to be hard, and we need to understand that it's going to be hard, and we got to be able to put the hard work in to do what's necessary for our community.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish! In your face, in your face,
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Operation Wonder Park is a go!
There's nothing more powerful than imagination.
Honey, have you seen my cell phone?
But don't just imagine.
My park came to life?
Ooh, a plot twist.
Use STEM to build, create.
She did it.
And change the world.
Who's with me?
I'm more of a 2 feet on the ground kind of guy.
It's gonna hurt tomorrow.
If she can STEM, so can you. Find out more at She Can STEM.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.